Hello and welcome to another Bad Comic Review. This time we're looking at Night Terror's Detective Comics Issue 1. This is a two-part micro-series from DC Comics that ties into the Night Terror storyline. This issue is written by Dan Waters, art and cover by Riccardo Federici, Brad Anderson on colors, letters by Steve Wands, Senior Associate Editor Ariana Totoro, edited by Jessica Chen, Ben Abernathy Group Editor. So we waste some time watching Gordon do some self-pitying over his son's grave, even though his son is apparently back from the dead. Then he hangs out with Sorrow for a little while before Sorrow takes off in hunt for something that's going on. He knows something is being summoned. We get a brief glimpse of Insomnia, but he really seems to have no part in this entire adventure at all. This doesn't even seem to be related in any way to the Night Terror storyline. What Gordon ends up finding is three people in eyeball masks at some freaky clock thing, and they keep referring to themselves as the good people of Gotham. And they summon these Clive Barker knockoff Cenobites that they ask for powers, and one wants knowledge, another one wants strength, and the third one wants wealth. Of course, this is a monkey's paw, so while they are given what they wanted, it's not exactly the way they wanted it. Sorrow appears to be liquidated, and Gordon gets injured. He also appears to have been bestowed with a gift of sorts that these weird multi-dimensional creatures give him, even though he didn't ask for it. He just happened to be there, and it makes him start to shatter like a porcelain doll. There are some very gruesome scenes in this that are definitely mature, some very adult themes, not just the shattering of Gordon's body, but also the deaths of several people. Now he figures out that the one guy's this sort of freakish looking Batman type creature, and another one is this lady that spits up gems. It's a very surreal kind of story, and it definitely has inspirations from like Clive Barker and maybe some Lovecraft in there. It was an interesting comic, but it probably should have been its own thing and not really tied to the Batman universe, because it doesn't seem to really make any sense with the Night Terror storyline or the Batman mythology. I'm a little behind on Detective Comics, but this alien horror thing would have been better as its own miniseries with a generic retired police officer, not Commissioner Gordon. I think that would have actually been more interesting, because Gordon brings a lot of lore baggage with him that another retired cop generically would not outside of the DCU. This probably would have been an interesting series from like Scout Comics or Titan, but it really doesn't seem to fit in with anything at DC. I don't really think it has anything to do with the Insomnia story. I don't know what they were doing with that, but Insomnia is in 2 big pages where it's 1 or 2 panels each, and that's it. He's quite literally only in the book for about 2 panels. I'm not real sure what this is supposed to be, but it's not a Batman story. It's barely a Commissioner Gordon story, but the premise is interesting. It just doesn't really seem to be something that should fit in here. I would say if you're going to check this out, get it for about $3 or $4. Don't pay the $5 cover price for it. It's definitely not worth that. The art's not bad and the story's okay. If you've seen enough horror material over the years, you've probably seen this sort of thing before, so it's not that interesting. But if you're new to horror comics or horror genre in general and haven't seen a lot of Clive Barker type stuff, this might be more appealing to you. So I would recommend it if you're into horror comics, but if you're looking for some superhero action, this is not that. And there's a lot of wasted space in here. Large panels, some single page panels that really are wasted. The entire thing at the beginning with him pining over his supposedly dead son's grave was completely ancillary and unnecessary to what the plot appears to be, and could have been summed up in a couple caption boxes, but they're going for this cinematic flair where they're basically just creating a storyboard instead of telling a comic book adventure. So I didn't much care for that, and it could have been cut out and shortened entirely and probably would have made the story much more concise. So not worth the $5, no matter how cool the cover is from a Lovecraftian standpoint or how interesting the horror elements are. They just don't fit in with the Night Terror story at all, and it doesn't seem to be a Batman or Gotham story. It's just sort of this weird horror thing that exists on its own, and I don't really care about that character Sorrow at all. It's kind of an annoying character. So that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the channel. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future reviews. If you'd like to help the channel out in other ways, links are in the description to various support methods, and as always, we hope to see you on the next one.